how do we fix, if there is a solution to the mainstream corruption and dishonesty within media?
And a few friends in the room who might have some views on this, but so I'll tell you this is, it's top down and bottom up. Okay, the top down mother of all problems is actually the federal government itself. So this idea of big tech censorship, I don't use that word anymore because it's not big tech censorship, right? It's really government tech censorship, where the government has been using these tech companies as pawns censored through the back door, what they otherwise could not actually censor through the front door under the U.S. Constitution. That's breaking the law, and I think that we need to hold many of those lawbreakers in the government accountable. That's different from, and I understand the conservative temptation at times to say, well, we're going to go after people in the media that are lying with misinformation and prosecute them. We're starting to hear some of that, and I get the frustration. That's what the left does, okay? We don't want a centralized arbiter of truth in the government, but what we haven't yet done as conservatives that we need to do is hold the lawbreakers accountable who are in the government itself, right? The people who were supposedly the high pastors of science who actually failed to follow science while censoring the core input to the scientific method, which is open debate, including on the internet. Same thing with respect to the Hunter Biden laptop story on the eve of the last election. The single greatest form of election interference, I think, in the history of Western elections that probably changed the outcome of the last presidential election. So I think that we have to hold those lawbreakers accountable, acknowledge that it is a violation of the law when the government censors speech indirectly that they couldn't censor directly. That's a failure. However, there's the bottom-up side of this. That only works if we have a culture and a populace and, frankly, a generation that's willing to buy what they're selling. Right? I think part of what's going on in the country right now is, as human beings, we're wired to bend the knee, actually. We're wired to want to believe in something bigger than us. And when we stop believing in our country or in family, faith, patriotism, hard work, belief in God disappears, something else is going to fill that void instead. I think that's what's going on with the climate ideology. It's really more of a substitute for a modern religion. And so you're always going to bend the knee to something. And I think the only way we're actually going to solve this censorship problem in a lasting way, oddly enough, is actually to fill that vacuum of purpose and self-confidence and meaning with the real thing. So combine that with, in the short term, hold the government actors accountable, but in the long run, make sure we have a population that is immunized, to borrow the priests of high science's favorite terms, immunized against that form of corruption. It's going to take both of those to save our country in a lasting way.